Checking the sound.
Check
that sound. I'm moving around, I'm checking the sound, and I'm moving around.
Releasing the hound,
and I'm moving around, and I'm checking the sound.
Welcome, my name is Oliver. I am a robot, but enough about me. This isn't about me, this is about Saul, and Richard, and video games, and the universe. So come with us, or more specifically, with them, enter the save state, save state, save state, save state, save state.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 11 of the Save State Gaming Podcast. My name is Saul, with me again this week is...
Hi, it's Rich again. How you doing?
Is that to me or the audience?
Yeah, both. Love you all.
I'm doing very well, thank you. Audience, hope you are doing very well as well. No matter where you're listening to us, whether you're in the car, the kitchen, the bathtub,
or the factory.
Yep, wherever you are.
Down the pits.
Yep.
In a guacamole in the prison cell.
Guacamole, I think you mean Guatemalian.
I mean what I mean, Saul. Don't correct me again, I'll strike you.
You're your own man, Chid. You're your own man. Nobody can take that away from you.
That is true.
Welcome, episode 11. The Twin Towers of the number world of gaming podcasts.
It's too soon, Saul.
Too soon?
It's too soon.
How many years ago?
16?
Yeah, I think we can crack a joke.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Let's go into it as we normally do with what we're playing. What have you been up to this week, Chud?
All sorts, mate, all sorts. You were so kind as to lend me Persona 5.
Yeah, that's
so I finally caught up to you cool kids with your Persona and your whatnot and your hard drugs. It was just your Persona. So yeah, I'm liking it, man. I've got 10 hours in. I've only had 3 days and I've already got 10 hours under my belt. And yeah, it's really scratched an itch, which I think I've been going on about for a long time. And I've got this sort of romanticised view about old school JRPGs and the whole story and the character, and it really being about, you know, the development of characters and stories and having arcs and things like that. And there's nothing really that's kind of been there for me in that vein in the last couple of years. So this comes along and it's brilliant. As I say, it's really scratched the itch of just all of that I've just mentioned, and I'm loving every second of it. However, what kind of fucked up school are these people running? So seriously, the logic of this game kind of baffles me, and if it is a reflection of Japanese culture, then I don't know if I want to go anymore. Because basically, spoiler alert, but it isn't really a spoiler because this is right at the beginning of the game. This is the setup to all of it. Basically, you play as a character who is out on probation, like a young man who's out on probation. And he has to move his town and he has to move school to Tokyo. And he's like under the guidance of this sort of like foster parent, isn't he?
Exactly, yeah.
Now, the reason that he's doing this is because this young man, one night whilst walking home from his friends or his job or whatever, he's walking home and he hears a kerfuffle, he hears a commotion over in the distance. So he runs over to check it out and he finds a man trying to drag a woman into a car. And he's quite clearly, and he's like saying that he's pretty much going to rape this woman.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So the protagonist goes over and stops him, and basically has a ruck with this guy, batters him, and like saves the day, stops this woman from being raped.
Yeah.
And he gets arrested for it. The protagonist gets arrested for it, and the rapist says, "Oh, I'll sue you!" Yeah. And then it's cuts to like 6 months later or whatever, and the protagonist is out on probation for attacking this guy.
It's really interesting setup for a video game, and like, as you go through the game, again, not to get into spoilers, but it really touches on some pretty dark subject matter that we rarely rarely see in video games.
Things that are incredibly taboo towards Western culture, really.
Yeah, and even more so in like Japanese culture, you know. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Really cool. Like, how are you finding the combat? You liking that so far?
Yeah, it's pretty much straightforward JRPG it's a bit like Ni no Kuni. It's got a bit of Pokemon. It's all about well, not all about. There's elements of picking your persona, basically beating down enemies, and if you get them down to a certain level, you can throw your Pokeball at them. No, I mean, no, you can negotiate with them.
Yeah,
and if you sort of charm them, you get dialogue options, and if you sort of charm the pants off them, they come and join you. So that's quite nice. I've only just uncovered that. It's one of those games which you touched upon when you first started talking about it. It starts to unravel its mechanics very, very slowly. Yeah. And I remember you saying to me that you were a bit worried of the fact that it was still introducing tutorials so late into the game.
Yeah.
I'm 9 hours in, and it's quite heavy with tutorials, but I must say, they're quite fast. They only take about 30 seconds to read.
Yeah.
And they're quite simple, so it isn't really bogging things down for me too much.
I think it's such an in-depth game that, like I said, even 20 hours in, you're still getting new mechanics introduced and new things that you need to start learning. But I think, to be honest, that plays credit to the game because it keeps the game moving at a fast pace. It keeps you engaged and interested with, like I said, bringing in new things all the time. So yeah, I'd really like to kind of get your opinion again, say after you've played another 20, 30 hours.
The only thing I want to say about it is that 10 hours in, I'm loving the plot because of the whole, the risky taboo nature of the subjects. It's quite interesting to play through. However, I will say that it does feel a lot like that at times. I'm not even playing a video game. I'm actually playing some sort of graphic novel on my computer, which, it's good, but the way I can put it to you people is Final Fantasy VII. Picture how many fights you had before you got out of that first macro reactor. That's the first 20 minutes of the game, You fight 15 times. I fought less than that in Persona 5 up to 10 hours in the game. I think I fought like 10 times. That's the same amount of fights you have in the first 20 minutes of Final Fantasy VII. So the gameplay to plot here is a bit skewed, it's a bit lopsided if you ask me. But as I said, the plot is so engaging that, to be honest, right now I don't really care. And I've only heard good things about it, so I'm going to stick with it and I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's it. Just stick with it. Once you get to about 20 hours into the game, then it really starts to open up and it becomes a lot less kind of tutorial heavy, and you start to get a lot more freedom in how you spend your time and, leveling up different confidence and improving different skills. You get a lot more freedom, basically.
You can level up by going and doing day-to-day tasks like
exactly
bravery. You do just that things like flirting with girls to build up bravery.
Well, exactly. Like, so for example, you can go to a restaurant and you can order the biggest burger in the restaurant, and as you eat it, you gain courage, for trying to eat this massive burger. And as that courage levels up, you'll get to a point where you can actually finish that burger, and then you get to order the next biggest burger. And so it's got a really, really cool way of leveling up your character and kind of quirky ways to introduce that leveling mechanic.
When those things are unlocked, that's when a JRPG becomes addictive.
Yeah, totally. So definitely stick at it. Like I said, can't wait to hear what your thoughts are. I love that game. I'm probably about halfway through, and I will get back to it at some point.
I thought you finished it.
Oh no!
I'm sorry.
No.
I've lent it off this guy. I'm sorry for that, because I'm saying, do you want this thing back anytime soon? Because it's quite a mammoth meal, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. I've got loads of other stuff to play. Like, my backlog at the moment is just fucking insane. So I'm quite happy to give that over to you for a little while and see what you think of it.
I'll keep it entertained.
Nice. Anything else you've been playing this week?
I jumped into an old classic. I just woke up one day and off a whim I thought, you know what, I really want to play Shadow of the Colossus. So I went about trying to find it, and it wasn't in its box.
Right.
So what was in its box was South Park: The Stick of Truth, and so began the great treasure hunt to find my disc. So I was digging out and looking at South Park: Stick of Truth, look into it, Oblivion, excellent. And on went the treasure hunt, Oblivion's box, opened it up, what was it? Call of Duty 4. So basically I can't find a physical copy of that game anymore. However, I did buy it when I first got my PlayStation 3 digitally.
Yeah.
And with my new internet speed, it took me 20 minutes to download. So I had that there, and I jumped in, and I never really got further than the third Colossus the first time I played it, and I remember why now, because I started playing it and I was whizzing through, and I got to the third Colossus. Basically, let's start again. If you don't know what Shadow of the Colossus is, it's a game by Team Ico. These are the people who made Last Guardian,
Ico.
Last Guardian, Ico, all that. And you play a young man whose girlfriend has been stricken ill, and he takes her to this magical land which seems to be deserted. But this weird ancient voice tells you that you must go and kill these giant colossi. There's 16 of them, and every time you kill one, you get power to bring your girlfriend back alive. So basically, you've got to wander the land looking for these beautiful giant monsters that you have to sort of climb up and destroy. Yeah. It's like puzzly platforming. But anyway, the third one really, really pissed me off. So I want to say something.
No, I was just going to say I absolutely love this game for a whole number of reasons. Like, it's an absolute cult classic, this game, but I do have really mixed feelings when I play it, because, like Chich was saying, you're this kind of lone guy in this fairly big kind of world, and there is almost nothing in this world apart from yourself and these huge 16 incredible, magnificent creatures. And like I said, I get real mixed feelings playing it, because you are essentially killing these creatures for your own selfish ends, which is to, try and hopefully resurrect your girlfriend when these creatures are doing nothing but, going around their own kind of day-to-day business. And
is that really a selfish end, though? I mean, it's definitely a morality tale. It's like how far would you go to save somebody that you love?
Exactly.
But yeah, it really does play with those heartstrings, because these things, they're not doing anything, are they? They're not being antagonistic.
Like you are the bad guy, really, in that story.
And the beautiful thing about it is it sort of takes you a while to realise this.
Yeah.
Every time you kill one, you sort of take in its soul and you fall, and you seem to get darker as the game goes along.
Yeah, an absolutely great game. Like I said, a definite cult classic, and something that is spoken of very fondly, I think, amongst people that are really invested in the gaming industry, and that not that it really has affected many games since.
I disagree. It's affected. What about Darksiders 2? That stole mechanics from it. So did Dragon Age Dogma, things like that. But yeah, as Saul was saying, it's sort of a benchmark of simplicity, of minimalist games design.
I think what I'm trying to say is that there hasn't really been another game like it since.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Apart from maybe Last Guardian, but that's part of the course, isn't it? But the whole thing about it being like a benchmark of minimalist games design, and a game doing things against the grind. This game, you have a bow and arrow, but you don't have any ammo or anything like that. And it just takes things down. It boils it down to the grassroots, and then it just does things differently. Which I think a lot of games, publishers, games developers would do well to take a leaf out of the book, really, because I'm sick of fucking Cool Shooter 6 looking down those Ironsides.
Yep. I think the first thing that I remember that's striking me when I first started playing Shadow of the Colossus was the horse animations. And I know this is kind of a little bit of a weird kind of minute part of the game, but I was amazed at the animation on the horse and how fluid it looked and how realistic it looked, and how how you would jump onto the horse and mount it and just ride off with your sword in the air.
So that was a real horse. I told you not to take that last batch of magic mushrooms.
So
it was really embarrassing getting you from the police cell that morning.
What was the Colossus that I killed? Who was it?
What? Do
I owe somebody an apology? I remember killing the Colossus.
Well, yeah. Do you not remember what happened to the statues in the town centre? That was you, Sol.
No.
But I'm only saying this because we're past the statutory limitation, so I don't think we can get done for it anymore.
What time will my daughter be home?
The passive type probably plays Nintendo.
What time will my daughter be home?
Somewhere between 10 and 2.
The aggressive type probably plays Sega.
What time will my daughter be home?
You want her back? And the other type definitely plays 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe.
Get a free John Madden Football and Crash and Burn when you buy a 3DO system.
Guess what I've been playing, Chud?
You've been playing Spelunky again, haven't you, Sol?
That's incredible. You psychic.
It's just you're a predictable motherfucker.
Yeah, you're right. I've been playing Spelunky, but not Spelunky as we know it. So let me say this: there are a whole bunch of different ways to complete Spelunky, and I'm trying to do one of them, which is called the Eggplant Run.
Okay.
Right now, the Eggplant Run is by far the hardest way to complete Spelunky, and is probably one of the hardest things to ever achieve in a video game. Like, very, very few people ever achieve this, and it's almost miraculous when you see it done live on the internet. Now, to do the Eggplant Run, it requires a few very specific things to happen in a very specific set of circumstances. So every time that you load up the game, because it's random in nature, because everything is randomly generated, the chances are that you can't do it on a single run. You have to wait, like I said, for a very specific set of circumstances, which are, you have to get a shop on one of the levels, and one of the items in the shop has to be a present. You have to take that present to a shrine, to an altar, where you place the present on the altar, and it disappears, and you get an eggplant.
Okay.
Right? The eggplant is completely useless. It is the weakest item in the game. Like if you drop it, it is destroyed. If you use it to attack an enemy, it disappears. You have to take that eggplant from the start of the game to the very end of the game, and the end boss, you have to throw it at the end boss, and you turn him into an eggplant. And that is the Spelunky Eggplant Run. Like I said, one of the hardest achievements you can ever do in any video game ever. It is absolutely ridiculous, but I've been trying and failing. But it's been really good fun. Really good fun, and again, it's just renewed my love for that game. Not that I need to tell you about my love for it. I'm now at 2,454 deaths that game. records every time you die. Quite a few. But I'm going to be playing that game until the day I die, and I wouldn't be surprised if I never
until the
finish
day you
it.
die as well.
I know. Honestly, like, look, if you've never played or heard of Spelunky, just give it a go. I can't recommend it enough. It's just one of the best pieces of game design I've ever experienced. It's wonderful, absolutely fantastic. But apart from that, like I said, I've not really been playing that much this week.
Hi, Buzz Biffle here. Invisible dirt can interfere with vision just like dirt you can actually see. And if you can't see it, how do you know it's gone? You need a Total Clean windshield washing system. It gets rid of the stuff that might not even be there.
Okay, first piece of news this week. News is coming out that the Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was first shown off at E3 2 years ago, is that right? Or was it last year?
It would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah,
No,
2 years ago, yeah.
Correct,
so, Square Enix are kind of taking over the reins by the sounds of it, and they released a statement saying that Final Fantasy VII has now switched to completely internal development. Previously there was an external studio kind of working on it, whether they were just contributing lightly or heavily to it, we're not quite sure, but it seems like they are taking more control over the project.
I'm really surprised that wasn't the case in the first place. I remember hearing this news story and I was like, what, you guys aren't owning this property, as in, taking ownership of it directly? You've palmed Final Fantasy VII Remake off into one of your subsidiary companies? Easy for me to say.
Again, there's different reasons for this. Like, lots of game developers have partnerships with other studios and they'll like subcontract out little bits of work to them.
I get that, but not your crown jewel. This is your bread and butter. This is the thing that the next couple of years your entire empire is going to be, well, not built around, but this is the flagship.
Oh yeah, totally. But again, like, we don't really know what the studio's input was. They might have just been like making very low-level objects, for the 3D world or something. It could have been anything. But I think what this shows is, I hope what it shows is a commitment to getting it right, because you cannot fuck this up, Square. You cannot fuck this up.
People have been wanting this game for decades.
Yes.
Decades.
Yeah.
People hadn't used the word years, I used the word decades.
Yeah. And they even trolled people. Remember that they were like, Final Fantasy VII is now out on PC. And we're like, oh my god, they've remade it. It's out on PC. It's fantastic. No, it was just the same Final Fantasy VII that was on PlayStation with up-res graphics.
Are you talking about the one 6 months before they actually announced it? They're like, Final Fantasy VII's back on PlayStation 4. It's the PC port from 20 years ago.
Exactly, yeah. People lost their minds for about 3 seconds and they were disappointed for another 10 years until we got the announcement of the remake.
No, this was like 6 months before, and I reckon it was done on purpose to sort of set up the actual announcement.
Okay.
It was beautiful the way it was announced, wasn't it? It was like the best E3 moment ever. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah.
The promise has been made. Let what will come.
So, how are you feeling about it? Do you have faith that this is going to be a good game?
Well, this is the thing. I think that I'm going to get it. I'm going to play it all the way through to the end, and I'm going to finish it, even though it's going to be 3 episodes long. I reckon it'll pull on the nostalgia heartstrings, and I reckon for that I will love it, and then I'll go away thinking, yeah, it was really good, and then I'll sit there in a darkened room next to me, go quiet, and my face will slowly change. It'll drop, and then it'll sink in. It was actually not that good at all. In fact, it was kind of turd. I call it the Final Fantasy 15 syndrome.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, you got to be careful.
It's going to have the same mechanics as Final Fantasy 15. From what I know, it's going to be very similar to that. And man, that game was paper thin.
Well, no, I'm not sure about that, because you know that they actually showed gameplay, didn't they?
Hey, it looked like Final Fantasy 15 to me.
Oh, 15, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so real-time combat, not turn-based.
It had the same engine, I believe.
Yeah, you're correct on that one, yeah. So, it's a big departure in terms of gameplay style from the original Final Fantasy. Obviously, like, it's still going to be aiming to hit the same story beats.
Yeah, I wouldn't be expecting turn-based combat in this day and age for a mainstream AAA game like that.
But then again, Persona, it's...
But I guess I'm trying to say is I don't mind the fact that it is moving forward to something fresher and newer, but I don't know, that Final Fantasy 15 thing, man, it was, if you played it, it's nothing, there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
There's literally nothing to it.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like the combat in 15. But yeah, you got to be real careful with this, guys. Like, if you... the slightest mistake is going to be brought up and just going to be torn apart, because Final Fantasy VII it's still regarded as one of the most important and best video games ever made. So on one hand, I'm like, why would you want to attempt to even tackle this huge kind of undertaking of remaking one of the best games ever made? I know people are asking for it. People have been asking for it for years, but if I was head of Square, I am not even touching this. I'm not going a million miles near this thing. Like, you can have the HD remake. That's it. You know, I credit to them for trying to undertake it, but I think that they're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, I completely disagree with what you're saying though. If I was Sony, the opposite. I do what they have done. It's like, what the fans really, really want, what is in fans' hearts and their wildest dreams, let's go and fucking give that to them. That's what people should be doing. And I've always been this way. It's like with film, with all other sorts of media. When something is being remade from the 1970s, it's a much beloved property, and people are like, oh no, it's going to destroy the way I feel about the old one. It's like, well, that's on you, man, because like, if something comes out and it sucks, then okay, the new one sucks. Like Alien Covenant, I thought it's a bit shit. Does it affect the way I feel about Alien or Aliens? No, it doesn't really fuck. It has sort of taken away some of the mystery about, you know, where shit came from, but then again, I'm going off on a tangent there, but never mind.
No, well, again, we're not going to see this game for, I would say, 3-4 years. I think it's way out, so they've got a lot of time to work on it, but I really do just hope they could do a good job for the gamer's sake and for the game's sake as well. Moving on, next piece of news. The PlayStation 3, our beloved PlayStation 3, has ceased production in Japan.
It's sick?
It's been dying for quite a while. I'm sorry, Chud. It's,
Oh no. Oh no. I can't be asked committed to that bit.
No. I think it's still under production in America, but give it another 6 months, I think it'll stop.
But they're looking at pulling the live support machine. How long was the PlayStation 2's lifespan? It was like the longest of a games console ever, wasn't it?
It's about 10-11 years. Like, they were literally still making PlayStation 2s up until about a year and a half.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was about to say. The PlayStation 4 was well into its lifespan when they ended that.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And again, I think it's... there's a bunch of reasons for that. I think the main one is the DVD player. Like, it was a huge draw for people at launch, and in some parts, DVDs are still a fairly new kind of thing, you know?
Wales.
So, I really think that is still, you know, helping to shift those PlayStation 2s.
But yeah, it is sad though, isn't it? The PlayStation 3. I mean, I've had a love-hate relationship with the old clunky motherfucker. Yeah. But it had some great games.
Some wonderful games.
Well, let's go to memory lane here, Sol. I want to ask you about the time when you first got your PlayStation 3. When it was a little PlayStation puppy.
Yeah, actually, this is quite a good story. I was having a bit of a rough time with my girlfriend at the time, and safe to say that things weren't going too well, and she decided to move out for a week. And the same day, I, to console myself, went out and bought PlayStation 3.
As you do.
As you do. So I bought Metal Gear Solid 4 with it.
That's what I got as well.
Yeah, a couple of other games. I can't remember what else I got with it. And I had very mixed feelings that week, because on one hand I was about to break up with my girlfriend, but I just bought a PlayStation 3 and I had Metal Gear Solid 4. So there was some good to come out of that situation as well. My memories kind of looking back on the PlayStation 3 now are a little bit mixed. I think it's really hard to go back to. Like, it's really slow, clunky, like the menus aren't very good. I think
the menus are the worst I can think of.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And like the online connectivity was a fucking nightmare. The PSN would crash half the time. Like, people that have just bought the PS4 or like a modern day console and complain about, maybe it not being up to the standard of Steam or PC capability. You fucking don't know you were born, mate. You tried playing the PlayStation 3. That was a struggle, man. That was a struggle. But very fond memories of the PlayStation 3. Like, we could talk all day about great games that came out for the PlayStation 3.
As we did earlier with Shadow.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can just talk about Last of Us and exactly.
Last of Us, Metal Gear Solid 4. Basically, it did have a better games lineup than the Xbox 360, but the 360 was just such a superior product, and the whole Halo thing and playing with your friends, it has such a special place in my heart. But I'm not exactly sad to see PlayStation 3 go, but I mean, I respect it. Looking back, I do respect its first party lineup and sort of what it laid the groundwork for, which is a brilliant console in its younger brother.
Yeah. Again, I think the PlayStation 3 at launch was a bit of a joke.
Oh my god, yeah.
Price, like $600, and that basically got laughed off stage at E3 when they announced the price tag.
And wasn't that the same E3 conference where it was like, hit the giant crab for maximum damage?
Yeah,
just like
an internet meme again, yeah. So I'm glad to see that Sony have turned it around since those days, and they had to start competing professionally and properly against Microsoft with the 360, and they've totally turned it around.
I was about to say, it's really strange how the shoe is very much on the other foot now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But another thing I'm going to bitch about the PlayStation 3 for is the controller. I've never told you how much I hate this rickety piece of shit. It feels sort of Toys R Us, 4-year-old, my little brother's first gamepad. It's such a rickety, plasticky piece of shit. The analog sticks are too close together, so when you go in the same direction, your thumbs touch one another, and then there's this awkward moment where they look at each other longingly and wonder if they really are gay for one another. I really hated the PlayStation 3's controller.
Yeah, I think I went through 5 PS3 controllers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rage quitting?
No, not at all.
Angry
Just
girlfriends?
I think 3 of them, the R2 button broke, which is, for first-person shooters, it's essential, basically.
What are you doing playing first-person shooters on the PS3? You've not got a 360.
Well, no, but there was stuff like Killzone, that kind of stuff. Like, I used to love the Killzone games. And towards the end of that generation, I was definitely playing more stuff on my PS3 compared to the 360.
I know you are. I remember losing you because we used to live far apart in the world, as often as the case was. And we used to join each other online on the 360, and then one day you just stopped coming on, and I always asked you, I've got a PS3 now.
Yeah.
I was like, come back on the Xbox. And I'm like, no. I just, whatever.
Well, yeah, it was really good to buy a console that kind of late in its life cycle, because you've got 4 or 5 years of great games that you get to go back to and experience, and they're probably cheaper than they were when they first came out. So, it's kind of why I'm looking forward to maybe in a year or two buying an Xbox One, because there's going to be 10 or 15 great games out there that I'm going to want to be able to play, and they'll be probably quite cheap. And
you can get the 300. Was it like 300 quid for the S, which is 2 terabytes?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh, that's a really good deal.
If I was you, know what I'd do? I'd get an Xbox game with gold account now, and stop piling the games into an online account.
Yeah, and then when I get the Xbox, I can just... Yeah, that's a really good idea, actually.
Bart! Go to bed!
Sure thing, Dad.
It's Bart versus the Space Mutants for your NES.
Rumba!
Only Bart Simpson can save the Earth.
Bart! Okay,
Get the Simpsons game for your NES from Acclaim. Bart!
Okay, a few pieces of Nintendo news now coming out of Nintendo headquarters, or the crack den, as we like to call it. Let's start off with the announcement of the Switch online service. Okay, now this has been kind of rumoured for a little while. They've given us a release date of early 2018.
That's right, yeah.
So up until then, it's still going to be free to play games on the Switch, if you're playing Mario Kart, that kind of stuff. But this service that they're touting actually looks really interesting. Really, really good, right?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
You want to talk a little bit about it?
I'm incredibly surprised about how awesome this looks. There must be a catch somewhere. Because basically, to compete with PlayStation and Xbox, they were going to offer a monthly subscription. Obviously, they're going to have to sweeten the pot a little bit, so out there. They're going to have to throw a little bit of something in there. So, be that a free game every month. What I originally heard, the original plan, I believe, until there was some sort of backlash.
Was it 3 games?
They were going to give you a couple of NES games a month.
Yeah.
However, they were going to take them away from you at the end of the month.
Yeah, that's right.
So you weren't going to be able to keep them, which sounds pretty shit, to be honest, doesn't it? But that's not the case anymore. I think due to the backlash of that, I'm assuming, now what they're going to do basically is a Netflix-style subscription.
Nesflix,
yeah, well done. Where basically you get a catalogue of NES games, and you just get to jump in there and play as much as you want, as long as you're subscribed. And this thing's incredibly reasonably priced. I'm hearing $20 a year.
$20 a year?
$20 a year, you heard me right.
And wow, that's really, really cheap considering what I think PlayStation Plus
$60?
$60 for a year.
So a third of the price.
That's really, really good.
Play all these old classic NES games.
So it's only NES games, right? No SNES games.
At the moment, yeah, SNES games are under consideration.
Okay.
All of this is very interesting, sort of, because doesn't this tie into something that we were thinking about, that we were questioning a couple of episodes, the whole NES mini mystery?
Yeah, totally. I mean, this
just
now
lighten
makes
things
perfect
up.
sense. Yeah, perfect sense. So, Nintendo stopped production of the NES Classic Edition, which by all accounts should have been a roaring success, and it was selling really, really well, and then just all of a sudden they stopped making it anymore. And I think this is absolutely why, is because they are now going to put most NES games out on their online service for, like I said, a really, really reasonable price tag. I can't believe the price, man. It's awesome. But following on from that, again, we did have rumours that they were making a Super Nintendo Classic Edition as well. So do you think that's still going to go ahead?
Yes. The language used in the press release about the Switch Online service would hint that is going to happen, because, as they say, they are taking Super Nintendo games into consideration. They're not going to be available at launch, which would indicate to me that the rumours, I don't know if rumours anymore, I'm pretty sure it has been confirmed that the SNES Mini is coming out.
They were talking about this year, right?
This year, so I reckon that'll come out. It'll have about a 4-month life cycle to get it, and then it'll cut out, and then people go, oh shit, I wish I'd got one. It's like, well, you can get a Switch and subscribe $20 a month, and you get to play the SNES games.
Possibly.
Maybe that is the strategy going into this.
Yeah. The only other thing I'd say about this really is that, on one hand, the service sounds really, really good value for money, and if the games are great, then it sounds like it's going to be really worthwhile. It does, to me, give credence to the argument that the Switch was released too early when it wasn't quite ready. Like, I can't think of a console recently that's been released where there hasn't already been a moderately robust, at least, online service behind it. Like, you can't. Well, I mean, it's still, you could play games on it. The store was still working, from launch. It just seems like, again, for whatever reason, Nintendo had probably a dream from the crack pipe that they should have held off the Switch a little bit longer, just to get all of this kind of back-end functionality in terms of online play and online services ready for day one. I would have preferred that. If that was their day one, I'd be much more likely to have bought a Switch, because as much as I love the new stuff that Nintendo were making, my heart really is for the nostalgia, for the old games. So if I could have got those day one, I'd have spent loads and loads of money on the online store buying up all those old games. Fuck man, I've bought Mario 3 probably 5-6 times already in my lifetime, and I'd have no problem again just buying it so I can have it on my Switch.
Please take a look at how the game looks on screen. This is the new world of Zelda.
I don't think my Nintendo Switch is supposed to be doing this. That is fucking loud. And highly annoying. What is that?
Let's move on to another Nintendo peripheral, which is, God, what are they doing, man? What are they doing? Right, for anybody that doesn't know, Splatoon 2 is going to be a fairly big release for the Switch coming up, I think, this year. And they've released their version of voice chat. Now, let's look at the competitors, right? How do their competitors handle voice chat? It's usually just a microphone that clips
I have
into the
a
controller.
Wireless headset that sits on my head.
That's one option.
Uses a dongle to go into the console.
Exactly. Perfect.
That's the PlayStation 4, and I am very happy with it.
Yeah. I think the worst that you have to deal with other competitors is a wire going from the controller to the headset, right?
Yeah.
So Nintendo have gone for a little bit of a different approach, where they're not providing a microphone. It's all going to be done through a smartphone app. So the smartphone has to be connected to a box. That box then has to be connected to the Switch, and then another wire from the Switch has to go to, I think, a microphone or like the Splatoon pack or something. It looks like a monstrosity.
It looks like it wants to be shot put out of its misery.
It does, yeah. Surely there must have been an easier way to do this.
Well, you're smoking a crack soul and things become complicated.
Well, yeah, but like, there's got to be one guy at Nintendo who's just be like,
a clean guy.
Guys, just chill out for just one day. Just come on,
the
relax.
one clean guy at Nintendo.
So, I don't know. Again, this is just... this is perfect Nintendo. In the same day, we get great news about a superb subscription service that they're offering, and then we get this monstrosity of a voice chat peripheral. Like, you just can't credit to them, man. They're nuts. They're
like
nuts.
a drunken uncle who gives pogs in one hand and twats you on the other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Leroy Jenkins!
So we've got a new game release, I'm quite excited about it. Have you ever heard of Tokyo RPG Factory?
A little bit.
They're a little in-house development team owned by Square Enix.
They made I Am Setsuna.
That's right, yes. They are tasked, their modus operandi basically is to recreate old school JRPGs in the vein of classic, Square properties. I'm looking at PlayStation 1 era, SNES era, that sort of thing, which I Am Setsuna was very much in the vein of. And this is going to be more of the same. I believe it's called Lost Sphere, off the top of my head. Off the top of my head. Or if it's not, I'm really sorry, please correct me in the comments. And yeah, it looks completely like my jam. It's just more PlayStation 1 era nostalgia-fueled goodness. So that's coming out early 2018. Quite excited about that. So yeah, I'm really liking the work with this little Tokyo RPG Factory. Even from the goddamn name downwards, it's a little gem pumping out something that I reckon there's certainly a hole for in the West.
Did you play I Am Setsuna?
I didn't know I had to say and all that, but that's because I thought it was a bit overly priced. I think it comes in about either 30 or 40 quid,
okay.
And it looks like something I'd spend 20 quid on, so I'm really looking for it to come down on sale when I jump in.
I mean, from what I heard, it was a pretty in-depth, quite lengthy RPG. I don't think it was a short thing at all. So what is it that attracts you to these kind of games?
Just the same as Persona 5. I like being taken on a ride through a story. I mean, it's the same as reading a good book, but in video game form, and digesting a story like that is much easier for somebody like me who has dyslexia through like the TV and through interaction. Whereas sitting down and reading a book can be quite a task sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually going to ask you that. How are you finding Persona? Because you are dyslexic. Are you finding it a struggle because the majority of it is all text based?
Yeah, but no, not really, because I only seem to struggle with books because it's such a mass. It's like a sea that I've got to swim through, and then it's really hard for me to hold that level of concentration to keep with it. Whereas JRPGs, the little boxes, and I read that, and then I press a button, and then I guess that sort of keeps my mind going, and then it goes through, and then I can just a small amounts I have to digest at a time, so the words don't jump around and get mixed up as much.
Okay, no, nice. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, fine. Let's all act like humans. Look at me. Boy, do I love sweating. Let's convert beef and leaves into energy and excrete them later and go shopping.
Question of the week.
Okay, moving on to question of the week. This has been something I've been thinking about for a little while, mainly because I'm now single, and I've been thinking that, say for example, let me give you a question, right? Say for example you got a new girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever, and they're not particularly into games. Say they haven't played a game in 20 years and their gaming knowledge might be Mario and Sonic. Let's say that, right? If you wanted to show them what games are now capable of or what they've now become, what game would you show them? What would be the first thing that you showed them?
I can give you a perfect example of this song. This happened to me a couple of years ago. I was dating somebody, and they were staying over, and I wanted to, basically show them my hobby, as you do when you like somebody and you want to see your life. So I thought, alright, how am I going to get this girl into gaming? So I thought, I know, I'll turn the lights out, put the surround sound headphones on,
right,
on her, and I'll put PT on.
Oh!
So I opened up a new account and got to play PT.
Right.
Yeah.
How did that one go?
She started crying.
Really?
I'm not even trying to be funny, she started to cry. And then,
I shouldn't laugh, but it's actually pretty funny.
Then we broke up a couple of weeks later.
Really?
Yeah, twice.
So do you blame PT?
No, I'm not even kidding.
Well, what we can learn from that is never to take relationship advice from Chud.
No, seriously, I really am a train wreck. But possibly not test the waters with with Silent Hill. I don't know. Start with Mario, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I was thinking more about like more along the lines of modern games, you know, to kind of show like, look, this is what games are capable of doing now. So you know, the one that I always jump back to is Journey. You know, very non-threatening, beautiful game to look at, fairly simple controls. You know. And you can kind of get as much as you put into it. Like you can just run through that game and still really enjoy it, or you can go in depth and you know you could have guys joining you in the multiplayer aspect.
I think I tried that with somebody else and it didn't stick. Journey specifically.
Oh really?
Like, we'll put Journey on. And
why?
She wasn't having any of it. I don't know. She just really didn't like video games. She probably just saw it as an extension of my boyhood.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So her issue wasn't with Journey; it was more to do with just that hobby.
I think it was just me with computer games, really.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, I think Journey's a good one. I think that Rayman is also a really, really good one. Really basic platformer, but again, beautiful, just really funny, and some really kind of good co-op. I think that
co-op is definitely a must as well.
Exactly, yes. For somebody who hasn't played a game in 20 years, they need sometimes a bit of a helping hand, and the worst thing to have is somebody over the back of your shoulder saying, "Oh, do this, do that." No, like,
hey, you got to be led.
Exactly. Exactly. Somebody who can show you the way and kind of help you into it.
I remember my mum actually got into video games. She got into a video game once, and it was really interesting. Called Yoshi's Story on the DS. Nice. I think that was mainly down to the art style and things like that, and it'd be quite simplistic. So she got quite a lot out of that. I mean, she would be shouting me from the other room every 10 minutes to come do something for her. She was still, but she loved it. With a little smile on her face. Nice. I'm gonna have to get her something to play. Yeah. I'm starting to feel like I should get the Mario Brothers Wii U. Get 2 controllers and just get a bit of bonding time.
I think that's a really good one. I think the Wii Sports stuff like that is always a really good one. Although I think most people on the planet have played Wii Sports by now. Like a lot of that got into most households.
Oh god, yeah, that infiltrated a lot of mainstream attention. A lot of people who aren't gamers jumped on board and played that. Shame it didn't really stick, but hey ho.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like I have friends' parents who, like, every now and again, the Wii is kind of tucked behind like the TV or something. Like, oh, let's get the Wii out, let's have a game of bowling, and like they love it. They love it. That's the only video game that they will probably ever play again for the rest of their life. But every couple of months they'll pull out the Wii, and they've got a few friends around for dinner, and they'll play a few rounds of bowling, and they love it. Yeah, it's great stuff. So I think PT perhaps wasn't the best choice on your behalf, but I think you've learned.
Sorry, Jackie.
I think you've learned your lesson. The other kind of point to this question that I wanted to ask was like, if, say for example, if you had a child, like how important do you think it is for, obviously video games being your hobby, if you wanted to kind of show that to your child, where would you start? Would you go all the way back to Mario, or would you start with something a bit more?
I have the feeling when this does eventually happen, I do have children that they are just going to pick it up basically out of osmosis, aren't they?
Just
I'm going to be playing video games all the time.
Yeah.
Unless something changes.
Yeah.
I don't know what. It depends. How old? What would you play when you were a toddler? When you become cognizant of what's going on around you?
Yeah.
Mario. We probably would start with Nintendo games.
Well, just a simple platformer. I think is one of the best places to start. So I guess in that respect, it doesn't matter whether you do go all the way back.
I'm going to start by doing the old little brother trick. I'm going to give my kid a control that isn't plugged in, and he can just think that he's playing.
Yeah.
So it goes without saying that I would like my children to be into both video games and professional wrestling, and maybe they will osmosis. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's getting a bit parental here. Like, obviously, it's really important to let kids find their own way and develop their own interests. But I think it's also important that, as parents or whatever, that you're able to have that conversation about, like, look, this is what I'm into, and like, I want to share this with you. This has been a big influence on my life, and whether that means going back to, back to Nintendo games so that you can start to understand the history of gaming and where they've developed and where they've come from, or whether, maybe it is a matter of interest. If they're not that interested in it, then okay, let's just play a few rounds of Wii bowling, or let's play a few levels of Rayman, and see if it takes off from there. So that brings us to another end.
So wait,
whoa,
what happened to that PC?
PC. Oh, the one
you bought for £3.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to that?
It's It's still on the bedroom floor. I've not plugged it in. I didn't plug it in.
I don't blame
I didn't
you.
plug it in.
Basically, for those who may not know, long-time listeners, Episode 6, the car boot sale, Guardians of the car boot sale. We went to the car boot sale. It's all picked for Rickety old PC for £3. I want to know. Right, before next week, you need to turn it on and find out what's on it.
Okay, we'll do it. Yeah, I promise you I'll do that. I promise you I will. I hope that before the guy sold it, he formatted it and got rid of everything.
No, it all dodgy porn.
Yeah, I hope so. One thing I will not do is connect that PC to the internet, just to be safe.
You wouldn't, would you?
No, it's fine. But I think what I might do is, if it works, and it's not, filled with horrible things, I think I'll just use it as like a DOS machine. Like I'll load a bunch of old video games onto there, like stuff like we were talking about last week, like Theme Park, Dungeon Keeper, Theme Hospital, those kind of stuff. Just use it as like a little go-to kind of old video game time machine.
Sounds good. Just be wary of all that going glitter like material.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we should do an unveiling. Maybe we should do it online in the next episode.
What happens if it's like Hellraiser and we open up a portal to hell?
Well, that's good. I mean,
Ian Jenkins, or whatever he's called from The Lost Prophet, comes out.
I mean, I'll say that I've played a lot of Doom, so I think I'm fairly ready to battle demons from hell.
I'm convinced that's how it works, yeah.
So once again, thank you very much for joining us. This has been episode 11 of the Save State Gaming Podcast. My name has been Saul. You can find me at Twitter on My Name is Saul.
I'm Richard Hornby. Please do follow us both at Save States Gaming at Twitter.
Yep. You can find all of our videos on YouTube, SoundCloud and iTunes as well, so make sure to check us out there. Subscribe.
Also hired a drunken man to scream verbatim our podcasts from the town centre. He's very cheap and having paid 3 bottles of cider.
That is an absolute bargain. So look out for him in Bolton if you're in Bolton Town Centre. But once again, thank you very much, and we shall catch you next week.
Peace.
Bye. Music for this week's episode was provided by Tom Hannay, Joachim Carud, Lowercase, Kevin MacLeod, Logistics, Lounge, Joey Pecoraro, Silent Partner, Above All and G. And you can find links to all of their work in the descriptions below.